Welcome back to Southern Unscripted. I'm your host, Sarah, and I am actually super excited about today's podcast. It's going to be a little different today. We might get a little vulnerable here. Today I have my friend, Christy Schultz. Is it former Schultz or Schultz? It's one word or it's separate?
It doesn't matter.
Okay. Well, everyone always says former Schultz. Okay, Christy Schultz. So when I met Christy, she was one of the girls in my networking group that you hear me talk about all the time. And our first time we had lunch together is so crazy because we just kind of went deep in that one-on-one.
Yes.
Like we just went straight to the meat and potatoes of our lives. And one of the things that we have in common is dealing with alcoholism in our family.
Yes.
And the other day I ran into you and I just thought it would be really good to come on and talk about that because I know people struggle with not only being an alcoholic, but people also struggle with
loving an alcoholic.
That's the best way you can say it. And just having to navigate a different type of relationship, which I know can be hard.
Very challenging.
So just real quick, all my life, my father was an alcoholic. He ran multiple businesses, but my parents were divorced. And sometimes when a man's lonely, they resort to that's the thing that's going to be their friend and be there for them and love on them whenever they feel alone.
Yes.
And so my father passed, and then it went into, by the time I was in high school, then my mother became an alcoholic. And she still is, still to this day. We're 20-something years. And we have been through so many different seasons of our relationship. I grew up knowing this loving, nurturing mom that never really drank. And then now she drinks heavy. And we have been through so much. Your story's a little different. So I'd like you to touch on that.
Well, not much different though, because I also grew up with an alcoholic father, and my dad was an extremely successful businessman. So he was very much a functioning alcoholic. It took me years to realize that my mom probably also was an alcoholic. She drank wine every night.
Like a glass?
Like a bottle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, never a glass.
Yeah.
That's not how my family rolls. We're all in.
Yeah.
So we don't just have one beer, we have a 12-pack. We don't just have one glass of wine, we have the bottle. So
yeah.
Because of that, I don't drink often.
Me neither.
I will drink, just
right,
not often.
Right. But I think we can relate on this because you've watched it. Like, I almost have like an ick towards it, but like not towards anybody because they choose to drink, because some people can literally have a glass of wine or one beer after a really tough day of work and it's fine. And, it just kind of whatever. But for me, what's one cup? Like, what is that going to do for you anyway? So I'm just like, I don't need it. Right. That's how I look at it.
Yes.
Like if I'm going to drink, I'm going to drink and have a couple drinks. Yeah. Now, 3 or 4 gets me over the limit. And I'm just like,
I'm like 2 beers in and I'm like, woo, having a good time after 2 beers.
Right.
I'm ready to like have a glass of water. But my brother, what brought us here today is my brother. So we lost both of our parents. My mom died of metastatic breast cancer in 2010. And then about 5 years later, my dad died of lung cancer. And so by it kind of really came to fruition with Ryan. He's always been an alcoholic. I don't ever remember him not being an alcoholic. He struggled with alcohol from a young age. But it got to the point where he finally went to rehab because his job forced him to in 2019.
And this was before your parents?
No, this was after both of our parents had passed. And he really, it was hard on both of us, but he really struggled. I was married and had 2 sons. So I had a family. He just really felt alone in this world. And him and I were very close. We were only 20 months apart. And we talked often. We would sit up at night. I would sit up at night talking to him on the phone. It was nothing for us to spend 2 hours on the phone.
Yeah.
But he didn't have anybody else. And I had my husband and my sons to live for, right? And I was still
a leadership role.
Yeah, I had to be okay for the boys.
And that's crazy you say that because You're the one that recommended the Matthew Perry Friend Lovers and is it Really Bad Things or something like that?
The name of the book, I don't even know.
Friends, Lovers, and Really Bad Things, I think, or Bad Things or something. If you drink, you should read this book because it's almost like he can articulate what an addict is feeling. Like he can explain that loneliness and how it's almost like you're in a relationship with alcohol and the alcohol is there for you. Yes. Never let you down. It's always going to be there for you. Yeah, no matter what. He
said something really deep. He said, I control the first drink, but I don't control any of them after that. So I make the choice to have that first drink, but I don't choose
to go beyond
the 20 after. He was like, once I have that first one, it's out of my control. And I get that. I really do get that on a deeper level.
And me listening to it helps me understand. Because for me, it's like, I'm 50-50. Like, you are still making a conscious decision to pick up that drink, right?
That first drink, yeah.
But it helps me understand what they're experiencing in the process of, like, picking up the drink, how the drink is suppressing, I guess, but making them feel so much better in that moment of emptiness or whatever it is that they're struggling with.
I was very intolerant of Ryan's alcohol usage. I mean, it would just make me so mad. And, he would go back to blaming our childhood on it. And like my parents' divorce was really hard on him. And he even
How old were y'all when they divorced?
7 and 8.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we were just over.
My parents were 2, so I don't remember. But my oldest sister, like we all got different versions of like our parents together, the parents splitting up, and then our mom and dad individually.
And I didn't realize until like going through some of this with Ryan, we each get different versions of our parents. Our children get different versions of us. But I never really could understand it because in my mind, I would be like, we grew up in the same house. Like, I don't understand why you are choosing to go down this path and I'm not. So I always was like, you're choosing that. Not really realizing the grasp of alcoholism because I didn't struggle with it.
Right.
But listening
and it's hard to understand when you don't struggle with it.
Yeah, and I listened to the audiobook, which was really impactful because it's Matthew Perry actually speaking. So to hear him talk, I was cleaning out my garage and I had it in my AirPods and I just remember just crying because for the first time ever,
you understood.
I understood and my brother had already passed.
Yeah.
I understood where Ryan was coming from and I had never understood.
Did he open, like whenever you would kind of be hard on him, would he open up to you or would that build a wall and him not open up anymore?
100% build a wall. He opened up to me in October of 19. He had just come out of rehab and relapsed. I mean, literally the night that he came out.
And again, your parents?
They're gone.
It's
just me. He relapses and he had a work apartment because he worked out of town and I didn't know that address, but I could not get a hold of him. So I reached out to his ex-girlfriend and I was like, hey, do you still have a way to check Ryan's mail? Can you go find his bank statement and tell me where he's buying liquor from? Because wherever he's buying liquor from is, I guarantee you, right next to the apartment complex that he's living in.
Yeah.
And so she did. And so then I got on maps and I was like, okay, there's an apartment right here. And I called the apartment office and I was like, hey, weird question, but I'm looking for my brother. I'm very worried about him. Is he a resident there? And the lady was like, legally, we're not allowed to tell you that, but I will tell you, we haven't seen his truck move in a couple of days and we're all really worried about him. And so I called and did a welfare check on him.
Oh, wow.
And the police officer called me when he got there and said, if this was my family member, I would want to get them to the hospital immediately. So,
wow. So it was like an intense binge.
It was intense. So after he relapsed and went back to work, he got fired because he relapsed.
Right.
They sent him to rehab. And so my best friend Jennifer, who you've had on your podcast, is a nurse practitioner, and I'm calling her and she's giving me great advice. And she said, so because Ryan lost his job, he had no insurance and he is so frugal. So I knew he wasn't going to go to the hospital and get this big hospital bill. So she was like, you're going to have to take him to Ben Taub.
What's that?
Ben Taub is where they take homeless people. It's down. It's it's a great hospital, but it's for people that don't have
Insurance
or money.
Yeah.
But she said, be prepared. You might sit there for 48 hours before he ever even gets seen. And I was like, okay. So I'm calling my husband, and my husband's like, go. You have to take care of your brother. So I go and I get him to Ben Taub, and within 30 minutes of getting there, he's back in a room because all of his organs were shutting down.
Oh my God.
And we spent 8 days in Ben Taub. He couldn't even walk.
Did he survive this?
So he survived that, and he cried, and he was like, sis, I don't want to die. I mean, he really didn't.
It was just like he was fighting himself.
He was fighting himself. I mean, so 8 days in Ben Taub, which is, a hospital's kicking you out after 2. He was very sick. I brought him home to live with me. I took his car. He didn't have his vehicle, so I had his car keys. His friends had gone to get his truck and took it back to his place in Seabrook. And then I had his wallet. So he had nothing. I basically held him captive in my house. He's a grown man. He's 44, about to turn 45. And I drove him to AA twice a day. And he was with me around the clock. He was at our house. He couldn't buy alcohol because he didn't have a car. He didn't have a wallet. He didn't have anything. So I basically held him captive for a good 30 days because he didn't want to go to rehab. I was begging him to go to rehab, and he wouldn't. This
literally sounds like deja vu with my mom, because we've been doing this for years. And what she would do is so just to backtrack, she had gastric bypass. And you literally told me this yesterday. I had no idea that gastric bypass, would you say, causes them to drink more or makes them find alcohol and they become addicted to it?
I don't know, the
science. Yeah.
But their body processes it differently. So they get drunk really fast, and they get sober really fast.
Yes.
But then also, the psychological aspect, to get to the point of having gastric bypass surgery, they're addicted to food.
Right.
And they don't deal with the reasons why they're addicted. So they just transfer that
cure
addiction.
themselves from the addiction.
Yeah. So
they just it's a small fix.
Yeah. So if you look at I don't even know what the percentage of it is. I probably should have looked it up. But I think there's probably a really high percentage of people that have weight loss surgery and then
become alcoholics.
Yeah.
So she gets drunk fast, and she can drink a lot. It's like she can handle it. My husband is a pretty good
processing it out.
Yeah.
I think.
So what she would do is she would drink a whole case and then get in the car
and get more
and go get more. And so for us, we're like, at this point, you're putting other people in danger. Please don't. And my sister helped get her out of the ditch multiple times.
Yeah. Ryan had multiple DWIs.
We would always go save her before because I couldn't even imagine my poor, cute little mom who wouldn't harm a soul in jail. I couldn't even imagine it. But there was this one time where she got really drunk and fell in her home and hit her head. And she had a lifeline button, and they were calling me, and I was at home. I was actually on a work call late at night. I had to get off the call. I rushed there. Me and my sister get there. They're already pulling her out on a stretcher, and there was just blood everywhere. We walk into the house, and it was like a murder scene. And that was a moment where I was like, okay, we're not doing this anymore. You can't even be alone at this point. So I took her in, moved her out of that house. I took her in. We put her in an outpatient. It was like I had to hold her hostage. And just to babysit her to make sure that she wouldn't drink, until we were talking about moving here, and we came here for a week for Thanksgiving to actually start looking at houses, and she relapsed in my home while I was gone, and we're all on the phone, just trying because she gets on the road again, trying to get her home, stop driving. My sister's following her. It was just this very chaotic thing. And that was we've been doing this for 20 years. That was the moment where we were like, we can't keep doing this. I want it for her.
So I have to hold them hostage to keep them sober, but they're adults. You can't hold them hostage.
No, and I wanted it for her more than
she wanted it for herself.
And not that she didn't want it for herself, because she would have moments of reflection in the hospital where she's hurting and she sees that she's hurting us. She would be remorseful.
I think they truly do want.
It's just a battle that they're fighting.
They just can't. Whether it's inner demons, which I think my brother had some of, a lot of trauma, losing our parents. He lost 2 of his best friends at a young age. I just think the inner demons for him.
Well, speaking of that, what was, go back to you and your brother in y'all younger days. Parents, you still have this house with parents are both in it. What was that like? Was there ever like parents would give you more attention and you never maybe noticed that he was lacking the attention or?
No, I mean, actually quite the opposite. Like I feel like Ryan, I mean, as kids you're like, "Oh, they love him more." And I don't think they loved him more, but they were very present in his life. Like my dad was always taking him fishing and hunting, and if Ryan wanted a certain bicycle, he got it, and he got to go to ski camp, and he got to do all these like really anything he wanted. Like
Yeah.
they did a lot with us. I never felt like he was missing attention. But he, from a young age, got in trouble a lot. He would just do like really impulsive things, whether it was like, I just remember this like vaguely. The neighborhood we lived at was like kind of surrounded by like a lot of like land. And there was this old car that was parked out on that land. And he got in trouble. I mean, I want to say we were young, 6 or 7, for like taking a BB gun and like shooting up the car. Just stupid stuff, right?
We
like
did
just
stuff like that too.
boys being boys. Or like I remember my mom, our neighbor, calling us and being like, can you look out the window? Ryan has climbed to the top of the light post and is just sitting up there. And mom walking outside like, Ryan Casey, like come down right now. And him just like sliding down, like no big deal. Like he was always just
busy. But that's like a boy, It's not like the reason why I asked you that because it's sometimes in childhood years things happen where people feel left out. They feel abandonment or certain things that cause them to find alcohol.
Yes. So speaking on that, when my parents divorced and my dad left, and I know this because my cousin had told me about it. She's 10 years older than me. She's my best friend, but she remembers she was around a lot, and she remembers. I mean, her memory is amazing. I wish I had it, but she remembers a lot of that stuff, and she always just said like, your parents' divorce destroyed Ryan. Like she was like, Ryan was a different child when your dad left. And when I cleaned out his place after he passed away, I found a journal from when he was in rehab, and it asked that question specifically, like, can you remember a time where your life changed? And it was when my dad left. My dad walked him out to the street, and he told him, like, you're the man of the house now. You have to look after your mom and your sister.
And the pressure of that.
Yeah, I mean, he was like 7 or 8 years old.
Oh my God.
He wrote in there like, I had to, because my mom worked, she had to support us.
Right.
And so he was like, I had to get my sister up every morning for school and make sure she ate breakfast and make sure she got to school or got out to the school bus. I had no idea. I mean, I'm just eating my cereal and watching my cartoons.
And that's so young.
Yeah, he was young, and we were close in age. Like, we're only 20 months apart. But the pressure that he felt, that was a very defining moment in his childhood.
Yeah. So it actually wasn't his younger years. He possibly could be comparing to how great his younger years were.
Yeah.
Compared to like that moment.
Well, and I always remember going, why was he so affected by the divorce? Like, it wasn't that big of a deal. Like, I wasn't really that affected by it. Yeah, my dad was gone, but my dad was still very much present in our lives. I was never truly affected, but I didn't have the pressure that he had.
Right. Or did you know that conversation he had? Not until you read that journal.
Not until I read that journal.
Wow, all those years. He never told you that.
No.
Wow. So he's been carrying that for a long time.
A long time.
What would you say would be the hardest part, like in your experience of dealing with someone who's an alcoholic? What's the hardest part in loving them through that?
For me, it was always when he showed up to family functions. Because he was going to have an ice chest in the back of his truck. He was going to have...
But was he functional, or was like...
I mean, he worked.
He was until he wasn't kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean... Yeah, like, I think he would go to work. He had a good job. He was very smart. He graduated from college. He had dyslexia, so for him to, like, thrive and go through college and do all of that... Especially being children of the 70s, right? Like, they didn't have the intervention that we have today.
No.
So,
yeah.
he really was able to overcome that. And he went to Sam Houston. He graduated with all A's and B's. Like, we were all so proud of him because, like, he really did a lot for himself. He was very smart. But socially, I mean, he was always just extremely immature socially. What was your question? I'm sorry. I
Just
forgot.
like loving him through.
So family gatherings to me were the hardest because he would show up with an ice chest in the back of his truck. He would have like a foam cup from a gas station, and he was constantly going out there, not telling anybody, right? But like, we weren't stupid.
Right.
He's going out there and filling it up and drinking the whole time. We're just trying to like be a family.
Mm-hmm.
This was from a young age. And then he would get obnoxious. He was not a fun drunk. I mean, he was not very nice when he was drunk. So then he would cause issues in the family. You know, my dad would get mad. My stepmom would get
become
mad.
a whole
like, it
thing.
would just cause like a lot of like angst and stuff in the family. Like, it just didn't make it fun. So it was like, if Ryan was coming around, it was kind of a downer. You were just like trying to like buckle up and
I have to say, the world has shifted a lot. Like, not drinking is becoming the cool way now, because I even saw a post yesterday how alcohol sales are like low compared to what they usually are. But back then, if you weren't drinking at a social setting, people would like pressure you like, well, you're not drinking? Why? Just have one. Shout out my mother-in-law. She loves to have one drink Friday at 4:00. She wants you to drink with her. And so, but she's not trying to pressure you to like get tore up from the floor up. But she, like, it's always like, just one. What can I make you? Let's have one. And if I already decided that I don't want to have a drink, I'm not going to have a drink, But that doesn't help the issue when people are struggling behind closed doors and you go to these social settings and everybody's like, drink, 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 drink. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So what do you wish people would understand about addiction and like grief? Because I know there's so many people that lose their loved ones because of it.
So the person is more than their addiction. Mm-hmm. Like, he was a whole person. He wasn't just an alcoholic.
Right.
He struggled with alcoholism. Mm-hmm. The grief of it, and I will say, because I have dealt with so much grief in my life, losing my mom when I was 33, my dad when I was 39, and then I lost Ryan when I was 44. And I'm 49 now.
Yeah, that's all pretty close.
So I lost my whole family in 10 years.
Yeah.
And I had grief with each death, but losing my brother was probably the hardest thing I've ever been through, because I no longer had that shared connection, that person like, hey, remember when mom and dad did this? Or, and then also when I went to go clean out his place, Jennifer helped me. Jennifer and our other best friend Jamie helped me. And Jennifer, when she was cleaning out his bathroom, she found a prescription bottle, and she said, "Did you know your brother was bipolar?"
You had no idea?
I had no idea. And I consider myself a pretty intelligent person. I really pay attention to people. I feel like I read a room really well. I feel like I know people really well. I form very deep connections. I was very, very deeply connected with my brother.
And involved. For the most part.
And had no clue.
Do you feel like...
I feel like if I would have had that piece of the puzzle, could I have saved him? I struggled with that.
Yeah.
But then I was like, no, because I know I did everything I could to help him. But I got very angry with my parents. And I have never been mad at my parents, ever. I love my parents.
Do you think they knew?
People. I don't think they knew, because I think the world was a different place. And I think like we all know so much because
it could have been something he discovered in rehab. They treated him and like he kept it to himself because he was technically old enough, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how long he had known. I don't know if he had ever gone to therapy. I don't think so. I mean, I had always like encouraged him like to talk to someone, because I knew he was struggling, because he would cry on the phone like how much he missed our parents, and it was really hard. He felt all alone in the world. And
the truth is, like, nothing And I mean, nothing can prepare you losing a parent. Like, we know that we're going to put our parents to rest at some point in our life. Like, that's just life. But I don't think anything can prepare you for the pain that it brings.
But the pain of losing a sibling.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine. My sisters are everything to me, and I dread the day.
You just don't expect to, especially like at our age, you don't expect to lose a sibling. And I don't know if it was different because of the order. Like we had already lost mom and dad.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that made it so much harder because then, like, you know, I almost felt like I had no one.
Right.
Of course, I had my husband and my children, but you don't have that
it's just different. Yeah.
Your childhood, right? And I'm very blessed.
Like if there's anybody that knew you.
Yeah, I'm so
It's
blessed.
your brother versus like your husband. You met him later in life.
Yeah, I met him later in life. I have 3 cousins who are like absolutely my best friends and have spent my childhood with me, have lived with us at various times, so close to us. So I'm very lucky that I have them.
So coping with the loss was probably difficult.
It was difficult. Yeah. I mean, I ended up on an antidepressant.
Yeah.
And I'm still on it today.
Yeah.
Losing Ryan. I didn't need one when I lost my mom and dad. Not saying that it wasn't hard.
Right.
It was hard.
Yeah.
But
it was just a different hard.
About losing Ryan. Whew.
Because there's probably so many, like, especially after finding out he was bipolar, like all these questions, like unanswered questions that you have of things you still may not know that he was struggling with, you know?
Yeah. I'm sure there's lots of stuff that I don't know about. And there's probably stuff his friends know that I don't know, right? Like nobody ever knows the whole, we each get a different side of somebody, right? So I'm sure there's people out there who know more than I know. I just can speak on my relationship as his sister.
What would you say unconditional love looks like when you're dealing with someone with addiction that close to you?
It's tough.
I agree.
I mean, I loved him deeply, but I wasn't always inviting him over for Thanksgiving and Christmas because I didn't want to deal with
like a sense of embarrassment, maybe.
I didn't want to deal with almost the negativity that came
with it. It was like a whole package.
Yeah. I mean, when he finally left my house, when I had held him hostage, right? Mm-hmm. He was supposed to meet us at our Bay house for Thanksgiving, and he was just going to go by and stop by his place and grab some things and then meet us there. And hours are going by, and I'm like texting him and calling him like, where are you? When are you coming? When he finally showed up,
it all made sense.
His shoes were on the wrong feet.
Oh.
He had his
shoes was driving like that?
Feet. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And then we're down at the Bay house and we're fishing and we're going to the beach and we're doing things and he's just sleeping on our couch where we couldn't even sit in our living room because he's just on our couch, passed out, drunk.
So like middle of the day.
Yeah.
Like he would just start in the morning?
Yes. And Keith, well, I don't even know when he was drinking because he hid it. Like he had it out in his truck. Like he wasn't just sitting in our living room just drinking, or he wasn't sitting out on our deck like fishing and drinking. He literally was hiding it. And Keith and I had to run to the store. And I told him, like, my boys were old enough to stay home by themselves. And I said, hey, we're going to run to the store, but we'll be back in just a little bit. When we got back, he was gone. He'd packed his stuff and left.
Wow. So like,
I'm sure he could feel my energy that I was not pleased.
And so for me, the experience is completely different. My mom will almost isolate herself. Like she'd rather not go because she will not drink in front of anybody.
Well,
we could be at a table of like, we go into dinner and everyone has a cocktail, you know, as a celebration. Cause that's what I think drinking is for. Like there's a reason to celebrate. You have a drink, but not just to drink. Right. She won't drink. She won't order a drink. She will not drink in front of anybody. It's when she's home and she's alone, which is even more scarier because you can't monitor it. Right.
Right.
So that's scary.
Well, and Ryan would do that too. Like I made him come to the Bay house. He would have much rather had gone back to his place and isolated and just drank himself into a stupor. And that's eventually what ended up happening. So I gave him his keys back. Like I couldn't hold him hostage. He's a grown man. I give him he's got his truck back. He's got his stuff back. He moves back down to his place. And this is November. By May, we were at the beach again for Memorial Day weekend. And one of his neighbors calls me that I don't even know. And they're like, hey, have you heard from your brother? Like, we're really, really worried about him. And I'm like, no, I haven't talked to him in about 4 or 5 days. And so I call the police department.
And that was the new norm too, like not talking for a couple days.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a big deal to not talk for a couple of days. Like, we wouldn't go weeks without talking, but a couple of days wasn't out of the ordinary. But yeah, I did a welfare check and they found him, and he had passed away on his couch.
They had found him. He had been like that for a while, or?
I don't know. So I would say probably at least a day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's scary. Where is the line between supporting, like, because you obviously want to be there for them, but then enabling? Because enabling is probably the worst thing you could do, but it's hard.
Yeah. So with my situation, I don't know if there was a way for me to enable him because he paid his own bills. He worked. Like, I wasn't buying him anything. I wasn't paying anything for him.
Yeah, like he was self-sufficient.
He never really would call me when he was drinking. I don't know how that question pertains
to you.
To me.
See, and I didn't enable either. Like, I'm kind of like my father. I've always just been like, if you say you're going to do something, do it. I mean, I've been back and forth with addiction at a very young age, which I'll talk about on another episode. But when I decided that I just wanted something better for my life, it was the turning point, and there was no battle. And so that's another reason why I struggle with understanding the whole addiction thing, because it's still a conscious decision.
Right.
But my sister would enable by, like, when my mother would land in the ditch, she would always call that specific sister first, and that sister would go help her. There was another sister that would help too, but she had at one point was like, okay, that's enough. But no one enables anymore, but there's really nothing to enable, because again, she pays her own bills. She doesn't drink all day. It's like that 4 o'clock mark. And then by 8 o'clock, she's tossed and probably sleeping.
Yeah.
So onto the supporting part, when they're kind of self-sufficient and they're just taking care of themselves, there's nothing to not support. You know, like, we still include her for our holidays, or, you know, if I go in and I'm like, hey, I'm coming in, let's do something at Shelly's. I always include everybody. So to me, that would be a way of be supporting. Now, if she called and said, okay, I had enough and this is what I want to do, and I want to go to rehab, or I want to go to therapy, I'm like, what do you need?
Yeah.
What do you need? I'm there. I'll go to a session with you. Like, right. I'm there. That would be my way of supporting. Mm-hmm. But until then, it's like the relationship is strained because I can't help her. I've literally, by even bringing her into my house, showing her, I'm here for you. That was me showing her, I support you. I'll hold your hand, while my family, you know, I have a whole family I have to take care of.
Yes. Same.
I'm here for you, but it's like, I can only do so much. Like, I can't help you if you don't want to be helped. Like, if you don't want to do it, there's only so much I can do. You know what I mean?
And that's like, for supporting Ryan, I mean, I feel like I showed up. I got him to Ben Taub. I was at the hospital every day with him. I brought him home because I'm calling my husband. I'm like, what am I going to do? Like, what are we going to do with him? He's like, you're going to bring him home. And I'm like, okay, like, I'll bring him home. I gave him my son's room. He went everywhere with me. He was like my shadow. And it was, I mean, you know, you love your siblings, but good grief, you don't want to spend 24/7 with them. But he was with me 24/7. And he also smoked, which drove me bananas. So I'm constantly having to, like, pull over in my car and let him get out and smoke a cigarette. And then I've got to smell it. And he's smoking outside on my patio. And it was just, I was very annoyed, but I was trying to do the right thing, right?
Right.
And I'm driving him to AA. I didn't have any time in my day. I was so busy. Like, it was one of those just really busy seasons of life. I didn't have time to be doing what I was doing, but I loved him. I loved him so much, and
And
I
you wanted
wanted him to
him.
be okay.
Mm-hmm. What would you tell someone who may be struggling with a family member like this? Like, how would you tell them to take care of themselves first? Because obviously you loved him. You wanted to help him. You were too busy, but you were willing to because you just wanted it for him so bad. You wanted to know that he was okay. In hindsight now, what advice would you give someone who may be struggling with the same thing? Like, how would you tell them to take care of themselves first?
You obviously can't stop your life for them because
Which is so hard.
it's so hard. If they're not willing, then you're not going to even, it doesn't even matter. If they don't want it,
it's almost like wasted,
it's wasted
painful energy.
It really is.
Yeah.
And I think he wanted it, but then I don't think he did. Like, I just think he loved alcohol more than he loved himself, which is heartbreaking.
Which, yes and no, like alcohol was just there for him. Like all those things that he was dealing with, that was the thing that was there for him. It didn't give him no lip. It didn't tell him, you need to stop. Like it was literally his companion. That's how I always compare it. My parents went through a divorce. She lost her parents. And I think that also did a number on her too.
Yeah.
And she didn't have the easiest life growing up. Like she told me some horrific stories. Her father was so horrible to her. And I mean, it's her father. She loved him, so it's still not an excuse though. It's like we all have a background and we all go through really hardship things in our life. But it was the one thing that's there. The one thing that's not going to tell her anything different, but being there for her.
Yeah,
24/7.
It's always going to be there for them.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on, but I want to kind of like shift and just maybe, send love to people who may be dealing with this or even normalize having these hard conversations. Like, looking back, do you wish maybe you'd have given him a little more grace? As far as the conversations, I'm not saying not be hard on him because you wanted him to change, but maybe giving him a more grace and space for him to open up about the things that he was dealing with.
I don't know, because I feel like I'm the type of person, like I'm not one that's ever going to really like put my views or my opinions on people. I felt like I was always a safe place for him.
Yeah.
I actually wish I maybe quite the opposite. I wish I would have had a little more, I wish I had bigger balls.
Aggression.
I wish I had bigger balls that I would have just been like, hey, dude, what are you doing? Like, you are destroying your life. But I tend to be more of like a people pleaser. Like, I don't like to hurt people's feelings. So I never had those really hard conversations with him, and I wish I would have.
Yeah, but I can tell you that I can't say that it would have changed anything.
It probably wouldn't have changed anything. And it might have made our relationship more difficult.
It affects more families out there than we know. And I just want to encourage people to actually be okay with talking about it. Even if you need to go find a friend or a therapist to just talk about the things that you're struggling with. And maybe they can help navigate you through that a little bit better.
Yes.
Also, coping during and then after. What was that like? Did you get support groups? Did you go to therapy? Did you journal?
I did not do any of those things. I wish I would have. I'm so lucky. I have a really great support system through my cousins and then my best friend Jennifer. So they've always been my therapist. I've always been able to talk very openly with them, and they're all like so intelligent, and they're really like, I have two cousins that have done a lot of therapy, so they give me really great advice and talk to me about like how to cope with my feelings, and tell me that it's normal. Like, it's normal to feel that way, and it's okay to feel that way. Give yourself some grace.
Yeah.
That would probably be my biggest thing. Like, give yourself some grace, because none of us are really equipped to handle this.
And I think naturally most people are hard on themselves, rather like I can give anyone grace. I lack giving myself grace. You know what I mean? Because we're just hard on ourselves. We hold standards. And then it's also something we just don't understand because we don't have that issue, of the addiction and struggling with the demons that we're fighting in our head. There are ways to keep going though. And I would just want to emphasize on like hope and faith. I know,
faith is huge.
Yeah.
I mean, without God, I don't know where I would be.
Yeah, agreed.
I mean, you just really have to lean in on your faith.
Yeah, I agree on that as well. Well, I'm sorry about you losing your brother, but I have to say you are so strong, and thank you for sharing such a vulnerable story. If there's anything that any advice you can give to anybody, just in the whole situation as a whole, what would it be?
Don't be scared to ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
If you have really gotten to a point where you know that you need to make a change in your life, don't be afraid to take that first step, because that first step is huge. And
it is the hardest step.
It
truly is the hardest step, but it's rewarding.
And there are people, like I know that I have friends and I see them on Facebook and they share their story about sobriety and they say, I've been sober for 2 years. And when I tell them I'm proud of them, I want them to know how, like, those are not just words. Like, I respect them and I'm so proud of them, because getting sober is not an easy thing.
It's a journey.
And the first step is just admitting you have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second one is asking for help.
And when you start this journey, it's not going to be easy.
No.
There may be moments of weakness.
Yes.
You could potentially relapse.
Absolutely.
But acknowledge it and don't quit. Like, I think, for my mom, she's gone through phases of doing so well. And then I guess in most addicts, when they have that first one, it's almost like the guilt and the shame that they have from relapsing that moment, instead of like giving themselves grace, like it's just one day, today's a new day, I can try again. Instead of like that positive reinforcement within themselves, it just goes south.
Yeah, because they're like, I already did it. I might as well just have another one.
Right.
I already screwed this
Which is why support groups is so important, like having the right people around you that are going to uplift you in those moments of weakness, in those moments of relapsing, because addicts relapse. It's normal. And I think you just have to pick up the puzzle piece and try again and try again and try again until you can find the groove. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I mean, you have to want it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You keep trying. It's not easy.
And sometimes I also see like they want to do it to make other people happy around them, because maybe they feel like a disappointment to other people or whatever.
Of course.
Instead of like truly just wanting to be better and healthy and their best version for them. Nobody else, just them.
Right.
And I think that's a huge key in this as well. If you're dealing with addiction, I always encourage you. There's so many helplines that you can call, support groups, therapy. If you are struggling with AA meetings, but even if you're struggling with acknowledging it out loud, read a book in silent and just like see how, this book by Matthew Perry.
It is so good.
And when you read it, he was still alive.
He was still alive.
I'm reading it and he's gone, and it's so crazy. It's almost like he knew how it was going to end.
Yeah.
Like just the words, it's so powerful and so impactful. I'm just like, but it's helping me understand a little bit more addicts and like
and in
the
an interview,
issues.
Somebody asked him like, how will we know if you're in trouble again? And he said, because I will tell you I want to stay in by myself and chill. Like I'll tell you that.
Yeah, like
I just want to stay home by myself. And he was like, that you'll know I'm in trouble because I'm self-isolating. Or if I tell you that I'm healed.
And that's key, isolation. Like addicts isolate because they don't
There's so much shame involved.
Well, that, and also like if they go somewhere that's not an addict, those people can't relate. So I don't want to hang out with those people.
Right.
Versus like I'm by myself, I can understand myself.
Yeah.
So yeah, read the book. What's it called again? Friends, Lovers, and Really Bad Things, or Really Big Things. It's something like that. But Matthew Perry, I think he only has one book. And we talked about this button last week on my episode where you can literally write things in. If you've struggled with any addiction, or if you have a family member who's struggling with addiction and you just kind of want to share your experience, please write that in. We'd love to hear about it. We can keep it anonymous if you ask. That's no problem. We don't share everybody's business. And make sure you like, follow, and subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. We are on TikTok with teaser clips. Thank you again for coming. And I really appreciate this.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And hopefully this can reach someone that can inspire them to either A, quit drinking and leave drugs in their past, or help someone who may be struggling with that family member that they just don't know how to navigate the relationship anymore.
Right.
So thanks.
Thank you.
See y'all next time. Bye.